And we do have a game to talk about, so let's jump right into that. Texas is favored by 12 points. It's actually expanded a little bit there from 11.5 to 12. The over-under is set at 52. Let's just talk about this line really quick, Gerald. What do you think about this line as it sits right now at 12 points?
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the Texas defense, right? Because you think that's like 26 points a team, so they're implying that like Texas is going to win like what 38-14 ish, right? Like that. Did I do that math right? So like that to me shows that there's a lot of faith in the Texas defense and not much faith in the Clemson offense, or not the faith in the Clemson defense either. So I think there is. It's scary for me, but I also think if everything breaks right for Texas, like I don't think Clemson can hang with Texas. If we get the Dr. Jekyll and not the Mr. Hyde Quinn Ewers, I think Texas probably rolls in this one. I think, we're looking at a Clemson team that's getting hot at the right time, but there's also a team that needed a comeback against SMU and a last-second blunder from SMU to even get into the playoffs. So there's a lot to be said about Clemson's. This isn't Trevor Lawrence Clemson. This isn't Deshaun Watson Clemson, right? Thankfully, maybe. But there's something to be said for experience, right? Dabo is one of the most experienced playoff coaches in the country. He's done it before and he's done it again. But back to the question, 12 feels like a lot, but I think again, if the defense plays up to their standard and can shut down this Clemson offense, it's probably going to be, outside of Georgia, the best defense Clemson has faced all year. So can Cade Klubnik in that running game that's hobbled a bit with their running back out, can they move the ball in Texas? It's going to be the big question for this one.
Yeah, so they faced, in their 3 losses, they lost to Louisville, South Carolina, and Georgia. And if you look back at those losses, they really didn't run the ball very well, or they didn't stop the run very well in all those games, and they ran the ball okay. So I think, obviously, like I said, and that's kind of funny because I think this college football playoff, I don't think there's a great team, and I think it's going to be heavy on matchups. So if Texas played their best game in this game, I think they should cover this game. I think they'd win by 14 to 17 points. But we don't know that they're going to do that because they're so inconsistent. So I don't really love the line. Honestly, if I'm gambling on this game, I probably would say Clemson in the 12. Now, I still think Texas wins probably 7 to 10 points, but we'll get into that a little bit further. But it's going to be interesting because of the matchups. Clemson is a very feast or famine team on both sides of the ball. They have an explosive play rate that's very high offensively. If they're not able to hit those in this game, how does that work? How are they able to move the ball? And Texas is like the number 1 defense in the pass game of giving up explosives. They don't give them up. They're in the top 10 and explosive run plays given up. They don't give them up there either. So how can Clemson manufacture that? Or again, are they just going to completely change their game plan? Because they have enough time. They've had 2 weeks, a bit over 2 weeks actually at this time when the game does kick off. So will they have the time to change the game plan because they know they don't really match up well with Texas? Will they try to drag this game out into deep waters? And I think, honestly, that is what they should do. Get this into a fourth quarter game where it's in 3 points and let Texas beat themselves. Because guess what, Gerald? We've seen this Texas team beat themselves. Have they lost the games that they probably could have lost? No. They could have lost that Texas A&M game, though, if Texas A&M had a competent red zone attack because we gave them multiple chances down the stretch. So does Clemson just do that? Do they just drag us into deep waters and then finally, when they get those chances, they take advantage of them and score in those certain situations that Texas A&M wasn't able to score in? So it's going to be very interesting, and we'll see what also happens with Phil Mafah, the running back. I know he's been injured, and that's big, guys, because the next guy up, Phil Mafah has 1,106 yards rushing. Jay Haynes is next up at the running back position with 295. So it's not even close. They don't really have a really reliable backup running back. If Phil Mafah...
Haynes is out. He tore his ACL.
Oh, he is? Okay, yeah. I didn't even know that. So,
yeah,
if Phil Mafah's out, they're going to have to... Cade Klubnik is going to have a special performance if Phil Mafah's out. Like, he's going to have to run or pass for 250 yards, and he's going to have to run for 75-plus yards. That's like their only path of victory, in my opinion, if Phil Mafah's out.
Yeah, and even if Mafah is in, they've already confirmed he's going to have shoulder surgery following the season. So, he is playing hobbled. And this is not me trying to be the sunshine pumper or gas Texas up more than we need to, but they're going to bang. Texas is going to come in and hit hard, and they're probably unfortunately going to try to target that shoulder a bit and hobble it because with Jay Haynes getting hurt in the ACC championship game, like Clemson doesn't really have an option, and it's hard to ugly up a game if you don't have a consistent running back. So like it's just Clemson feel like is running out of win conditions in this situation because I don't know. Like Klubnik can go supernova, and we've seen it, and it's happened, and I think he's a guy who is very capable of doing it. But like, what help is he going to get? I don't know if the Clemson offensive line is going to be able to hold up against Texas. I'm pretty convinced at this point that the Clemson running game is not going to be able to get going simply because who's the healthy running back that they have. So like, it's going to be a lot on Klubnik's shoulders in this game. And there's one thing, there's a lot of nice things you can say about Pete Kwiatkowski, but when he has multiple weeks to plan for a team that really only has one win condition, he's going to figure out how to take it away. He's going to figure out how to take it away. And so this is going to be the chess match. And so I'm very curious to see what this Clemson offense comes out and looks like, because again, if Maffa we know is not on 100%, if he can go, Haynes is out for the year with an ACL. So he's done. So like, they're on RB3 at this point, which again, maybe that evens the playing field with Texas, who's also on RB3. But again, it's hard to tell at this point because we don't know about Maffa's health, but ultimately it's going to be on Cade Klubnik's shoulder regardless.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because I do think when it comes down to quarterback and 2 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers, I think this is the best Texas has faced all year. I think Klubnik's probably the best quarterback. And then you go with Antonio Williams and Bryant Wesco Jr. I think that's the best pair of wide receivers we've seen as well. Other guys have had talented wide receivers, but no quarterback. Kentucky comes to mind there with Dane Key and Berrien Brown. And no offense to some offense to the quarterback. He was god-awful. Brock Vandergrift was terrible in that game. The backup actually came in and did much better, and Cutter Boyley. And then I'm trying to even think from there because we didn't see DJ Lagway with their wide receivers. Oklahoma, absolutely not. A&M, not really. Georgia, not really. Like, I think this is pretty clearly the best quarterback with wide receivers combo we face. So how do these guys match up? Like Jahdae Barron, you're the Thorpe. Go out and give these guys hell. Malik Muhammad, you're a really good player, going to be an NFL player. Go out and give these guys hell. And then coming off the edges, I think this is one of the weakest offensive line Dabo Swinney's had at Clemson. You should be able to exploit them. You should be able to get sacks in this game. You should, in my opinion, you should be able to get 4 sacks. I want 1 a quarter. If you can give me 1 a quarter, I think we're able to win this football game. It's going to be interesting because Clemson does have a path to win. I do think they can win this game, but it's a narrow path. And to me, it kind of reminds me, listen, Michigan's not as good as Clemson. That's not what I'm saying. But it kind of reminds me of the Michigan game where Michigan had to muddy this game up, take us into deep waters. I think Clemson's going to have to do sort of the same thing unless this Texas team does something they haven't done all year, which, again, is give up explosive plays. If that happens in this game, then Clemson can definitely win this game. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that because nobody's been able to do that.
Yeah, I think the other elephant in the room there is like, can Quinn Ewers keep them from having short fields, right? The Clemson offense will be fine if they only have to go 30 yards to score a touchdown, right? Most Pee Wee teams can do that. I think my son's Pee Wee field is only like 60 yards, so that is what it is, right? But like that's the other question: is does the Texas offense do enough to be able to keep? Because I'm pretty confident that Texas can limit Clemson to 17 to 21 points, right? That feels like an easy expectation for the defense based on what the Texas defense has done this year and what Clemson has done this year. So can the Texas offense put up 24 points? That's the big question that we have. Clemson's defense is, again, they don't have all of the high-end talent they've had in the past. Some of it's in Austin. Praise wherever you choose to praise. But, like, they're still good. They're still well coached. Dabo Swinney's still a defensive guy. I think they're the number 23 defense in the FEI this year. Texas offense is number 19, so it's a pretty tight matchup there. Giving up like they're number 20 in the country in points per drive. So, like, it's a good defense. So I really think I don't feel any sort of trepidation about the Clemson offense on the Texas defense. My bigger questions are on the other side of the ball. The Texas offense versus a solid Clemson defense. Which Quinn Ewers do we get? Which offensive line unit do we get? Which running game do we get? Because if we get the good versions, I think Texas rolls. I think if we get the struggle versions, I think if Quinn Ewers throws multiple interceptions, if Texas fumbles the ball multiple times, if Clemson is able to consistently get pressure, then I think things get really scary really fast.
Yeah, the only game that I can think of where Texas really got in like really bad third down situations, we did it in the Michigan game, but let's be honest here, Quinn Ewers had all day to throw in that game. The offensive line did a good job, and then when he didn't have time, he was able to move up in the pocket. We really haven't seen him do that since. But the Georgia game we lived in, I think the average was 3rd and 11. So Do I think Clemson can force us into that? I don't know. That's going to be the question of the game. Can they force us into those obvious passing situations? If Texas is living in 3rd and 5 and below, I think they're in control of the game quite easily. But if they're not, it's going to be very interesting. And it's pretty simple for me. I said this last week. If Texas can run outside zone effectively, I think they, like you said, they win this game rather easily. Every game that we've run outside zone effectively, we win the game. And I'm really not that worried. I know the scores are always closer than they should be, but I've never been there like, oh, we're going to lose this game. In the Vanderbilt game, I didn't think that. In the Arkansas game, I didn't think that. I didn't think that in the A&M game. The only games I felt, oh, we're going to lose this game were Georgia because we had no push in the running game, and that's what happened. So it's going to be very interesting if Clemson can stop the outside zoning run versus us.
Yeah, I mean that is the key to the offense, and Sarkis talked about it before. And Quinn Ewers is better when they can get that going because he's great at play action. So it really is the key to the offense of getting that zone read going, or not the zone read, the outside zone going.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to touch on this real quick. Adrian, we are simulcasting on Texas and Clemson. So we're just talking Texas today. We're going to do the Clemson guys will do the same thing with their show, and we'll actually be on that show as well. So we'll be breaking down the Clemson game in more detail there. But they're going to be simulcasting on the Texas channel as well. That's what we do on the week of games. We cross content-wise. So that's why you see us on your channel. We do not even know about the portal commit you're talking about for Clemson right now, unless Texas just had something. But I don't think they did.
I think he's a guy from SEMO. I think the first, not the first portal player, but one of the early portal players from SEMO for Clemson. So
Okay.
maybe Dabo's learning some new tricks. They say you can't teach a dog new tricks, but maybe Dabo's just trying to get after it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How many points is Texas would I have to give you to guarantee a win in this game offensively?
From the offense?
Yes.
Man, 24 points feels good. And that's not a shot at Clemson. I think the Texas defense is just really that good. I think if Texas can get to 24, 27 points, I think that Texas probably is able to win this one by sheer force of the defense just being good.
No, I agree. I said a couple weeks ago, I said about a month ago, I said 27. And then after watching me more, I was like, I think if you could guarantee me 24 offensive points and basically not give the ball over in your own red zone, so they're starting inside their own 20, 25-yard line, the other team is on our side of the field, I think 24 points offensively would win us every game from here on out. And I stand by that. I think if we score 24 points in this game and not throw like a pick six, a fumble return for a touchdown, or turn it over where they're inside of our own red zone, I think we win the football game. The next question, how much over under 10 snaps for Arch Manning?
Oh man. I'm going to go under, I think, just because there's some caveats there. But I think my gut tells me under. I think Sark is going to continue to use it sparingly. I really don't. Because at some point, it just becomes like you're tilting your hand, right? Like they know they're going to run when Arch comes in. And if you do too much of that and then you start to pass the ball with it, well, then are you in a 2-quarterback system now, right? So I think it'll continue to be a very sparing use situation. So I'm going to go under.
I would go under as well. I think we're going to see 6 to 8 is my guess. And obviously, barring injury. Obviously, if that happens, you'll see him more. But I'm just talking about, I think you'll see him in the red zone. I actually think you'll probably see him on a 4th and 1 situation. If we do get there, a 3rd and 1 situation out of the red zone, and we may even take a play action shot off that in this game. I think you'll see more versatility in the way we use him in this game compared to the way we've used him the last couple games.
I'm calling my shot right now. At some point, if Texas makes a deep, even if they don't make it deep, I think we're going to see an Arch Manning jump past to the goal line. I'm calling it now.
I could also see a situation where you have Quinn and Arch out there at the same time. I think 100%. You'll see that possibly.
Absolutely.
So, most important question, final score, what do you have?
That is, I don't bet. I haven't bet since I lost all my lunch money one year in middle school betting, or high school, I guess. But for me, my gut tells me Texas has this. Clemson is a good squad. Clemson's got Cade Klubnik is an incredible quarterback. Cade Klubnik has a lot to do, but I really in my gut says something like 28-14. Texas is probably where I want to go. I just think the Texas defense is too good, and I think at some point the Texas offense, the running game is probably going to get going. So I think 28-14 feels about right.
I'm going to go 26-17. So I don't think they cover. I think it's somewhat close for most of the game, and I think Texas pulls away late. I could see like 19-17 Texas scoring a late touchdown in like the middle of the fourth quarter to pull away, put a cap on it. I would love to, if Texas wants to run away in this game, here's your thing. Get up 14-0 and unleash the pass rush. Like if they do that, I think they'll win the game pretty easily. We just haven't seen it. Like other than Florida, I haven't seen that. And Florida, again, I don't know, invested they were in that game. But I'm going to take Texas to win that game. And it does surprise me, like Clemson, out of all the games, is actually the biggest underdog out of all the games during playoff weekend, which is pretty crazy.
I mean, they are a good squad. Dabo Swinney has not forgotten how to coach football, but like they got in on an automatic qualifier, right? It's like there's something to be said about that, and that's no shots at them. And again, they could come out and absolutely shock us on Saturday. I hope not. My weekend will be much better if they don't. But Clemson, by just virtue of like what people expect from Texas this year and what Clemson has showed us this year, I mean, I think it makes sense for what Vegas has done all year.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited to watch it. Remember, guys, it's on TNT, and it's Dusty Dvorak, and I forget the other. I think it might be Dave Pasch. They do a good job. I like that crew, so it'll be interesting.
Dusty's one of the few good Sooners.
Yeah, he doesn't really. You can't like if you didn't know, you wouldn't be able to tell that he went to Oklahoma, which is good. That's what you want out of your announcer.